Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway, and I am super excited about today's episode because we get to talk about the most important trade organization if you are considering becoming a travel advisor. And that trade organization is ASTA, which stands for the American Society of Travel Advisors. And my guest today is the president of ASTA, Zane Kerby. So welcome today to the podcast, Zane. Thanks for joining me.
Hey, Meredith, it's great to be with you.
So it is incredibly important to put this trade organization on the radar of people who are either currently selling travel as a profession or considering selling travel as a profession. And the reason why is because it is such an honor and a privilege to be able to sell travel, to build a profession and a career around selling travel. And ASTA is there to make sure that we continue to be able to do that. So let's just dive in quickly. Zane, from your own mouth, what is ASTA and what is the function that ASTA serves for the travel advisor?
Great, Meredith. Well, ASTA is, as you mentioned, the nonprofit trade organization. Our mission is to promote and defend our members at all levels of government, within the industry itself, and to the traveling public. So any activity that we take up, and our board of directors is comprised of people who sell travel for a living. So that means that our loyalty is really clear, right? We don't have commercial relationships that sort of cloud or muddy the water or make us wring our hands about what kind of position we should take on any particular issue or industry development. So if it's good for travel advisors, we will take it up. And if it's bad for travel advisors, we will fight it with every available resource. Now, you mentioned profession, and I'm glad you said that word. ASTA, again, is the reputation manager as well for the entire profession of travel advisors. And the real issue I'd put around that is that there's not a sort of national licensure regime for being a travel advisor. Anyone can call themselves a travel advisor. You just have to have a name, I guess, and be able to, there are only 4 states that actually require a travel advisor registration. And you pay a fee and you can call yourself a travel advisor. That
Yeah.
is a real problem, I think, a real challenge for our industry because it doesn't account for the enormous amount of expertise and knowledge that it takes to become a qualified travel advisor. So ASTA has done, I think, really great work in setting educational and professional standards for the industry so that people know which travel advisors they can trust and which ones they might want to avoid.
I really love that conversation because that is a part of my mission too, is to help. I mean, the reason why I'm writing the book that I'm about to publish is because I feel like obviously there is a path to professionalizing a passion for travel, and there are not enough people on that path. But also, I feel like over the last 20 to 30 years, because it's such a low barrier to entry in this profession, that there are a lot of people who get into it thinking it's a silver bullet, thinking it's, just a way to get discounted travel or free flights, which don't exist. Maybe that existed 20, 25 years ago. But yeah, so the reputation of the travel advisor is something I personally have been fighting for a long time. And I know all of the advisors in our community, in the entire travel advisor community, people that are really serious about it, it is an uphill battle. It is absolutely an uphill battle. So I love that you brought that up. And so becoming a member of ASTA and doing is it the CTA?
VTA, the Verified Travel Advisor Program. Yeah.
ETA, sorry. The Verified Travel Advisor Program is a fantastic first step if you want to become an advisor and really show the professionalism and your commitment to this career path. Absolutely. Like if there's one thing you're going to do, is join ASTA and do the VTA program so that you can at least have that seal. And it gives you confidence too, right?
I think
Um,
that's right. One other thing too is the Verified Travel Advisor program. We had an employee who went and took one of these host educational programs, not yours in particular, but took one, and she was in the class with about 25 other students, and it was an in person event in California. And after the first 3 hours, everyone was dismissed and went to the bar to grab a bite to eat for lunch. And everyone made a beeline. She said she was with ASTA. Everyone made a beeline for her and said, what is going on here? Like, what is this language you're talking about? What do all these acronyms mean? And so there is a whole language around a profession that I think we kind of take for granted if you've been in it for a while. So that actually led us to develop our roadmap to becoming a travel advisor course. For so VTA, that's like trying to jump into a master's program. We also have a resource for people who are brand new to industry. It's called the Roadmap to Become a Travel Advisor, and we also have some free resources that talk about the industry and kind of what you can expect that are free on our website. But then the roadmap course is a couple $100, and that will really help you understand the lingo so that as you move into this profession, you really know what you're getting into, and you understand the lingo, and you understand the relationships that you're entering into when you start an agency.
I love that ASTA is really leaning in to supporting the travel advisor the way that you are. How long have you been with ASTA now?
I have been really pleased to lead the staff team at ASTA for a little over 12 years now. It's been
Yeah.
yeah.
And I remember 12 years ago, ASTA was going through kind of a transition and a little bit of a difficult time. And it was it from my perspective, when they brought you on board, that's when things really turned around. And just year after year after year, you've really grown the membership, you've grown the awareness. I know you've grown as to pack. You've been able to grow as to pack. And so tell us a little bit about that journey. Um, how did they find you and what were you doing before that? And I really want to ultimately laser into some of the incredible accomplishments you've had while at ASTA.
Well, you're really kind. The first thing I'd say is we have a fantastic team at ASTA, and
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing and we've had great people come in a 12-year period, as you can imagine. We've had great people come, and we've had some people leave on the staff, and we're always sad when great people leave. But we've been able to find and I think nurture really, really great team members at ASTA, people with high emotional intelligence, people with great skill and expertise, and people who want to belong to a team, right? Because in this modern world, it's tough to their competition is tough out there, and ASTA's in a couple different businesses, right? We're in the event business, we're in the education business, we're certainly in the government advocacy business, and we have competition in all those areas, and so
Mhm.
you're right. When I first got here, it was a struggling organization trying to, I think, find its footing. But because of the great work that came before me, because of people like Paul Rudin, who really did wonderful work to sort of keep that advocacy ember and
Mhm.
flame alive. And then, I think what we've been able to accomplish in the last 12 years, I'm certainly really proud of, and I know that the rest of the staff is too. To answer your question, I worked at the Global Business Travel Association for 14 years before I came here. I sort of rose in terms of higher levels of responsibility and throughout that 14-year tenure, and really enjoyed that. And so when the opening came for the CEO job at ASTA, I was like, my eyes got big. I said, "Ooh, that could be really, really interesting," because I had a lot of experience, certainly with corporate travel agencies and everyone in the travel ecosystem on that side of the house, but I didn't have any experience on the leisure side of the house, and so when it came available, I threw my hat in the ring, and well, here we are. Um, I was so fortunate to that all everything aligned, and that the board. I guess I brushed my teeth and combed my hair well that morning, and met with the board of directors a couple different times, and yeah, here we are, off and running.
Absolutely. So what would you um so I really can you repeat those three different like business lines that you're in? I really love that clarity.
Yeah. So the first is we're in the events business, right? I've
Yeah.
always said this: the an association that cannot gather its members is association that's in trouble. And when
Yeah.
I think we had 2 or possibly 3 events, now, yearly, annual events, and now we're up to 7, and we have a sold out schedule for 7 events, and we ranges for everything from our premium meeting to our River Cruise Expo to a Caribbean Showcase to our Travel Advisor Conference. We have a lot of different, and of course, our legislative day. That was one of the first things we restarted when I joined
Yeah.
that was our legislative day. We're in the education business. I mentioned our verified travel advisor program and after becoming a travel advisor. It's really, really important that because there isn't that sort of traditional educational path for things like accounting or even real estate. We serve that function, right? We are the ones who, as the trade body governing and again managing the reputation of the profession. We're here as an educational resource. So we even have a corporate travel educational platform too for people who want to go into that side of the business. So those two, and then obviously maybe the most important and the one that is I think the one where we're essentially and maybe where we face the least amount of competition is on the government advocacy side, because you measure, I think, progress here in Washington in inches, not miles, right? So getting anything done can be a real challenge. But I'm really pleased to say that over the years we used to have one sort of paid advocate on staff, and now we have 3, and we also manage 2 outside firms that help us cover a lot of ground on Capitol Hill, so we can again make sure that when issues arise for
Yeah.
folks who set the rules of the road here in Washington, that travel advisors are at the table, and that our perspective, that our business model is being considered and given preference as we can.
That piece I think is the most misunderstood and not misunderstood, it's that there's just not that much awareness and that in around how much work is going on behind the scenes there. Let's talk about some examples because that really makes it tangible for people. So yeah, you choose an example of, you know, how you've made a difference. ASTA has made a tremendous difference.
I'm going to reach back a little bit in time just because I think it really helps crystallize the issue. But in 2019, again, it's a while ago now, but I have a dozen examples
Not
from
that long ago.
But in 2019, the state of California was trying to protect its what it deemed its gig economy workers. When you're thinking about people who work for Uber and Lyft, um, they they uh, they obviously get a wage from those large companies, but they don't get their health care from those large companies because those companies say we're actually not a rideshare company, we're a technology company, and so those people who provide the rides, those are independent contractors. Okay, so California tried to close this loophole and say you're not a technology company, you're a rideshare company, and those are employees. So they tried to create legislation that would almost force the companies to take more responsibility for the people that are out there actually doing the work and earning the money for the company. So Meredith, what they came up with is they said, listen, if what you do as an employee is essential to the company's bottom line and mission and general idea of what the company is, then you're not actually an independent contractor. You're an employee. Yeah.
Right.
So they wrote this legislation in something called AB 5, Assembly Bill number 5. And the problem with it is that travel advisors in our line of business are, we have this host model where our members are selling travel, which is obviously essential to the host's business,
Yep.
but they want to be independent contractors. they are completely 96% of them were extremely happy with this host independent contractor relationship that they had. So because of the way the bill was written, it was actually going to outlaw the profession in the state of California. And so obviously we're a little alarmed by this. We have a lot of members in California, a lot of great independent contractors that again love the relationship they have with their host agency. So we got to work. We sent some of our board members out and went and talked to every state senator in the Capitol in Sacramento. We sent 2 staff members out, our attorney and one of our advocates from Washington, and walked in and pushed a piece of paper across the table and said, you need to carve us out here. You need to make an exemption for travel advisors that live within the state boundaries. And, this bill was moving and moving fast, and we knew it was going to pass. So the only idea, the only thing we could do is, again, carve out an exception. I'm really proud to say that the work that our board did, board members, the work that our staff did, made a difference. And I remember watching online and watching this pass and watching the exemption go through. And the state senators said, you know what, wait a minute. We have travel advisors, and we certainly don't want to run them out of the state of California. So let's carve out an exemption. That's just one.
That was huge. I mean, looking up for that, and all of our California-based advisors were so afraid. I mean, it really rattled people. Because we were afraid they weren't going to pay attention to these little old travel advisors, because they just weren't important enough to get involved.
You have to be well funded. You have to be clear. You have to have a forceful advocate in places where it matters most. And again, sometimes these things are happening really fast. I'll give you one other modern day example. Last year the FAA reauthorization bill passed, and it had a provision in it that directed travel advisors who, when they're acting as the merchant of record, to have to provide refunds, and it doesn't tell the airline that they have to provide a refund within 7 days. But it directs our members to do so. So if you can imagine, if you're sitting there and you're working on a class trip for the senior class trip and for the local high school, and you're collecting $100,000 in airline tickets from 40 or 50 different students. You're passing that along to the airline. Well, all of a sudden, for whatever reason, there's a service disruption for some reason. A volcano goes off in Iceland, or there's a strike in Paris, or something. Things happen. There service disruptions happen, and say the trip has to get canceled. Well, the reality is that $100,000 is due back to those students within 7 days. But the airline doesn't have to give you the money back as a travel advisor. But since you're the merchant of record, you have to give the money back. So the real challenge here is that we're trying to close this loop. We tried to close it last year. Unfortunately, we were unsuccessful. But we continue working on the problem. And I'm really happy to say 2 weeks ago that Congresswoman Van Dyne in the great state of Texas and 8 of her colleagues, they're all Republican, they sent a letter to Secretary Duffy. And that letter was really simple, Meredith. It said, travel advisors should not be banks for the large airlines. Fix this problem immediately, Secretary Duffy. So really proud of that. We're hoping Secretary Duffy will act, but if he doesn't, then we're certainly going to make this an issue when we have our legislative day coming up in October.
Yeah. So let's dig a little deeper into something that you said that I think is one of the reasons why there is not as much awareness. You said sometimes things happen really fast and you have to be well funded. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, I know it's a long time ago, but you remember this Occupy Wall Street movement, right? I mean,
yes.
They had the attention of the world. They were camped out here in Washington. They were camped out right outside the, stock exchange. They were beating drums. They were saying, it's not fair. It's not fair. It's not fair. And the reality is that nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. As a result of all this commotion, all of this attention, all this media attention, I can't think of someone who actually spoke, was a real spokesperson for the Occupy Wall Street movement that wanted that offered specific changes that needed to happen in order for, I guess, things to become more fair. So again, it's a long time ago example, but the reality is that unless you're well funded, unless you have clear spokespeople, unless you're deliberate and that you can maintain energy over time and commitment over time and relationships over time, very little is going to get done here in Washington. That's just the reality and
Yeah.
the fact. So that's why it's important to have a strong national trade association. It's important. It's why it's important for every person who is in this industry and considering this industry to your point when you open the podcast here is to join your national trade association. When you do, you make it stronger, right? You link arms with
Mhm.
the other 18,000 members that we have, and you say, "Hey, we're a force to be reckoned with, and we deserve to be considered."
So let's talk about the distinction between being a member of ASTA and your membership fee, what that goes to, versus ASTA being well funded and through ASTA PAC and donating to ASTA PAC is a very different thing than becoming a member. So let's help us understand the difference between the two.
Yeah, membership is really based on size, and if you're brand new and you're just getting started, it's like a couple $100, a little over $200 to join
Yeah.
ASTA. If you're a more established agency with, 5 or $10 million in sales, it's about $100 more. So the join fee at ASTA, I think, is really reasonable. Now, if you're a
Yeah.
really entity like American Express, you'll pay a few $1,000s to belong to ASTA, right? And we're very proud of all the large leisure and luxury and corporate agencies that have joined us here. That's what most of us aspire to be one day, right? We're gonna grow up and build something wonderful and big. But those funds actually help keep our office alive. We have 36 very very proud 36 full time employees at ASTA that are again handling advocacy and membership and events and business development. And of course, we have an IT department like everyone else. If you don't, you're in trouble. But but then you mentioned ASTA PAC, which I think is a really important thing. ASTA, the PAC stands for Political Action Committee. Okay, and these are funds that you have to give their personal funds, and you can give up to $5,000 a year. And some people, so a lot of our well-heeled members do. They just give us a check in January for $5,000 every year. Nice, but you can give up to $5,000 a year, and we pool that money from all across the industry, from every one of our members. Again, it's totally voluntary and has to be personal. And we report that the money that comes in every month without fail because I look terrible in that heavy denim and I don't want to go to jail. And the FEC reports are due every month, and they're very serious about them. You don't go back and revise your FEC report. Anyway, we gather this money together from our members, and that's the money that we can give to politicians for their reelection campaign. And to be frank, this is how you talk to politicians in Washington.
Yeah.
You have to you donate to their reelection campaign, and then you get some of their time.
Yeah.
So, without a strong pack, and guess what? Those FEC reports go out to all of the members of the legislature, and so they know exactly how much money you have in your pack. So a strong pack actually signals a really strong and healthy profession. Uh,
Right.
you the soda association has like $3 or $4 million in their pack, and so when you're sitting there, you're the chief of staff or a member of Congress across our great nation, and you're looking, you're like, well, who am I going to talk to today? Well, you're the top 5 or 10 or 15 folks. I'm going to reach out to them and see what kind of problems that they have, and so it's real. As I'm very very proud. You mentioned this before, but we have been able to keep and maintain a very healthy pack. And so we're seen as again a force to be reckoned with here in Washington. We have money to spend, and we're obviously very judicious with it. We give 51-49 Republicans and Democrats. Our job here is to find champions on Capitol Hill that believe in travel advisors and understand and want to help small business owners in our space. And I'm very proud to say that we've
Yeah.
had legislation introduced by Republican and Democratic members of the House of Representatives, and we work obviously across the aisle in the Senate as well.
I mean, basically, because of the well-funded ASTA PAC, as a travel advisor, um, we still get to do what we do, and you're really protecting us from losing the ability to sell travel as a profession. Um, I want to talk about one more example, which I just thought it was almost like thrilling to me, maybe because we're our American Airlines hub in Charlotte. So let's talk about that situation, which was in 2023, or was it actually last year?
It concluded last year,
It
or at least
concluded last year. Yeah, it began in
started
23.
in 2023. Yes. Well, you're gonna
And
you're
that
not gonna
definitely affected us personally as a host agency. We were one of the ones, like, that would have been very negatively affected by it.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to wipe the smile off my face when talking about the American Airlines situation. Well, first I'll just say, um, for reasons unexplained, American Airlines decided that they are going to try to disenfranchise travel advisors from the equation, right? And
Yeah.
they first started by saying, we're not going to put the content of our fares, our city pair fares, in the place where 90% of business travelers find them in the GDS. So we went to American Airlines first with our large agency members and asked them to sort of be patient with the implementation of this new technology and that we were working as fast as we could to be a good partner. And they kind of shrugged us off. And then we went to them with there are 4 or 5 of their largest corporate customers in the United States. And I'm not going to use their names, but we had a call with them and they asked American Airlines to slow this down and to make sure that the travel agency community would be able to serve their corporate clients in a meaningful way without creating enormous headaches and enormous workflow challenges and processes. And anyway, they decided to ignore our advice and they went ahead with it. And so, as you mentioned, American Airlines has fortress hubs. They have 4 or 5 of them here in the East. Philadelphia, Washington D.C., Charlotte, Miami, Dallas. These are places where they have way more than 50% market share. And so we felt like they were using this monopolistic power to their advantage. And so we reported them to the Department of Transportation.
They were.
We reported to the Department of Transportation, which yeah, did not make, make any friends over at American Airlines. They responded, and we responded to their response, and it went back and forth. The DOT is still sort of investigating last year when they did an about face, right? They decided that the business that they were losing from the travel advisor community and the $1.5 billion hole in their profit and loss was a little harder to explain to Wall Street than it was to us. So they reversed course. I think they made some personnel changes over there, and since then they've been working, I think, really diligently to try to restore confidence and trust with the travel advisor community. I think the important thing is that, again, ASTA stood up strong. We fought them in the press. We fought them. We reported them to
Yeah.
the transportation. We set up something called the Save My Miles campaign, where 10,000 travel advisors and about 20,000 consumers wrote their member of Congress and told them, "Hey, this is out of bounds here. If you're booking through a travel advisor, you should be able to get your miles, just like if you
Yeah.
book them online." So
I think I even wrote to mine. I was a part of that.
I did too. um, But yeah, I think again, organizing the campaign around and again defending our members' businesses, really, really proud of our team effort. And in that part, really proud of the result. I want to tell you, I was in a board meeting in Dallas, Texas last year when several of my staff members like gave me the glare eye and said, "Look at your phone." And I said, "Look, I value my job. I love my job here. I'm not looking at my phone during a board meeting. What's wrong with you people?"
Right.
No, no, look at your phone. And that was the very day, moment, and hour when American Airlines, Robert Isom was reporting to Wall Street. He said, "Listen, we're changing course here, and we're gonna make it easy for our people, for our customers who use a travel advisor, to do business with us." And that was a great, great day. One of the real highlights of my career, my whole 30-year career, but definitely the
Yeah.
career here at ASTA.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember that day too, and I remember feeling the excitement that you were feeling. It's and part of it is because, you know, there are definitely times when um partners don't want to play with the travel advisor. And this is an example because and it's mostly because they don't value the travel advisor. And it was a perfect example of what happens when you don't value the travel advisor is it goes against you. And I love that. And if we didn't have ASTA doing that for us, they would have just steamrolled right through that, and we would have lost our ability to book American Airlines flights for our clients, basically.
At the start, we at the start, it made it really hard to do that, and then they said, "If you're not one of American Airlines' preferred agencies, you can't offer your customers miles." So, just imagine that. Imagine if you have to go to your customer and say, "Oh, by the way, if you book with me, you're not gonna earn your frequent flyer." I mean, really, such
Yeah,
a slap in the face to the entire profession. But again, that you're exactly right. That's why ASTA's here. Is like we're not gonna we won't take that sitting down. Like we
yeah,
definitely we're a thorn on their side. And again, they're a really large. I mentioned our 36 employees. They have 100,000 employees. They're a big, well-funded publicly traded
yeah,
company. But it does really underscore the point that there are things that we have to link arms together for, right?
yeah,
It's impossible to fight American Airlines by yourself,
yeah,
but you link arms with 18,000 of your colleagues and say, "We're not gonna stand for this. ASTA has our back." That's yeah, that has power. That can produce a great result.
absolutely, and it did produce a great result. Um, I wanna, come back to Ledge Day, one of the events, but it's really ties in with this side of the business. Um, what I love about ASTA is not only are you doing all these things in the background on behalf of the travel advisor, but when you need the travel advisor to get involved and create a bigger voice for ASTA, you're very good at telling us precisely what to do, how to do it in a very seamless way. And so what I love about Ledge Day is it really is an opportunity to get involved if you want to get involved in supporting your profession. So tell us about what Ledge Day is and how does one participate?
It's essential that you get involved, right? Because travel advisors are not, they're not in big malls. You don't know a lot of travel advisors. Most people can name, two travel agencies, and they're not even typical travel agencies. It's Booking.com and Expedia, right? Those are the travel
Yeah,
agencies, the online booking tool. If it, and we run into this all the time. People can't picture a travel agency unless they work with an individual travel advisor, right? They don't think about them all the time. We're not sort of in the public consciousness that we were at where we were a generation ago. And so
yeah,
because of that, it's really, really important that one day a year, to your point, you come up on Capitol Hill. And again, ASTA will manage these relationships the other 364 days a year. But one day a year, you come up on Capitol Hill and you put a physical, real presence, face and name to this profession, to important members of Congress and their staff who are deciding the rules of the road, right? You don't plan things for people that you don't think exist. And so, again, it's really important. We cover a lot of ground. There's a lot of great industry education out there. There's a lot of great events out there to help you understand a particular type of travel or a particular mode of travel. But ASTA's legislative day, it puts you in a position of power and a position of influence to people here in Washington that again are deciding the rules of the road. I want to say one thing. We were coming out of the pandemic in 2022, there was still a rule in the books that said, if you start a cruise in the United States, it has to make a foreign call before it returns to the United States. Well, that was going to kill the Alaska cruise season again in 2022. Think about it, just a couple years ago. So we went
because
and
Canada was still closed.
yeah, the PVSA, the Passenger Vessel Services
Mhm.
Act. And we had begged, our cruise line companies had begged the I guess the folks, the regulators in Canada to say, hey, listen, can we just make a technical stop? We won't let anyone off. No one's, but if we make a technical stop, we'll just bring some supplies on in port in Vancouver there. Can we just do that? And Vancouver said, absolutely not. You can't.
Doesn't count.
So so it's like, well, wait a minute. So Alaska cruise season's gonna be closed again. We took this, we made this the prime focus of legislative day, and we went and hit a lot of members of Congress and all the senators' offices and said, listen, you need a carve out here. We need to suspend the PBSA for at least the next couple of months until so that the ships don't have to make a foreign stop, and so that people can can actually enjoy an Alaska cruise season, this year. And I was really happy to say 4 days
Yeah.
after Legislative Day, they passed the suspension of the PVSA and really saved the Alaska cruise season for 2022. That kind of thing is really, really important. It's you don't realize it, but it can have a real dollars and cents effect on your business and people's ability to get around. So again, legislative day is so important again for people who want to come. And again, I always tell wherever I go, I say that people owe a debt of gratitude to the 250 advisors that come to legislative day from all 50 states every year. It's a really
Yeah.
important exercise, and it's a really unique opportunity. I know you've done it, but again, it isn't. It's such a. I remember like first time I had legislative day 11 years ago. I was like, at the end of it, I said, what just happened today? What I'm sitting
It's
across a 22-year-old who's furiously writing notes, and but it was you have to give your elevator pitch over and over again. But it's like, wow,
yeah.
this is a really really unique experience, and everyone I know that does it loves it.
They love it, and it's a really cool, especially because in this profession, most of us work from home, and so we feel very much isolated. So it's a fantastic way to feel like you're not alone at all. You're not alone at all, and it's just really cool to be able to be like, "Yes, we do exist, we are valuable, and we are contributing to our economy." Um,
Celebration of the profession. And yeah, to your point, our legislators should be begging for travel advisors to move to their state or their or
right.
their district, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
I agree
yeah,
100%. Love that.
yeah. So, when does legislative day typically occur? And if someone wants to get involved in, next year, how do they do that?
Yeah, it's, this year, well, we're late this year. We're in
Yeah.
October. It kind of moves around, depends on, if it's an election year or not, depends on when Congress is in session. So it's moved around. We've had it as early as February, and we've had it, I think, as late as October, which is where it is this year. Next year, we're going to be in April. So it'll be nice
Okay.
time in Washington. You can come and see cherry blossoms and also visit your members of Congress. So yeah, it definitely moves around, but we try to make it strategic and well, we always make it strategic, but we try to make it so that you have meaningful issues to take up the Capitol Hill. This year,
Yes.
because I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we are going to have a wonderful member of Congress in Florida who is going to introduce the Airline Refund Fairness Act, which again, if the
Ooh,
fee doesn't fix this problem on its own as the head of the Department of Transportation, we're going to have a specific piece of legislation introduced on behalf of ASTA and our members that we will then fight and advocate for on October 5th.
that's fantastic. That is really, really cool. So basically just go to the ASTA website to learn more about becoming a member and all of the different events, including Legislation Day. Yeah, I highly recommend all of your events. They're all incredibly well done, and your events team is just out of this world amazing. So, um, let's dive deep into Zane Kerby. Let's learn a little bit more about you. Now, I know that you are uh, a dad, and you have I think I was surprised when I learned that you have a little handful of kids, not just one or two. So
Whole handful. That's right. My wife Marcy and I have 5 children. So yes, we definitely,
yeah.
yeah, from 27 down to 16. So
Wow.
we have 3 sort of adult children and 2 meenagers, as we call them.
Okay. And so there's how many still in the home?
Just one. Yeah,
Oh
she's
wow.
the lone leaf on the tree, and the wind is blowing, as I like to say. She's a rising junior, or a beautiful Sophia. But our
Okay.
son, yeah, actually, our son just left on a mission for our church, and he'll be serving for 2 years in Guayaquil, Ecuador. So we're going to
Wow.
face
Oh, that's
on
amazing.
Mondays, but otherwise, yeah, he'll be in Ecuador learning Spanish. So yeah, we're super excited for him. He's our 18-year-old, and then our
Oh,
16-year-old daughter, and then the other 3 are well, one's in Denver this year at school, and then 2 of them oldest sons are out of the house, but they're nearby, and
Okay.
I get to play golf with my oldest son on Saturday mornings, which is some Saturday mornings, which is a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
that is great. It's funny that you said your 18-year-old son is going to Ecuador for 2 years because I was gonna ask, given, this industry and exposure to this industry, are your kids, world travelers?
Not only travelers, but travel snobs. They've definitely gotten used to the good life, and again, this job has afforded us. I mean, I got to go to Jordan with my daughter and tourism cares, where we worked at a woman's co-op,
Wow.
making mats and rugs, which I'm
Yeah.
sure all that I did was undone as soon as I left because I'm not good at it. Yeah, we've been to Turkey and my goodness, we've traveled the world in the Caribbean. I got to have a dinner with my son on the Serengeti in Africa, and yeah,
Wow.
I pinch myself, and every time I'm on a plane, I look to my left or right, and I say, hey, you know who has the best job in America? It's me. I love bragging about it, and yeah, I mean, our members are great at creating magical memories, and I've been a
Yes.
great beneficiary of that, thankfully. And yeah, what I love about travel is that it's created wonderful memories and wonderful experiences for our family. And I'll tell you what, like a lot of times here, our kids are glued to their devices. But I
Yeah.
remember taking our second son to London one time for a soccer match, and like he looked across the table at me and he's like, "Dad, like I'm really struggling in school, and here are the reasons why." But it created a moment where we're able to
Yeah.
connect in a way that probably in the busyness of sort of being here at home didn't allow for. So we were
Yeah.
able to address some of his concerns. I was able to address some of his concerns here, and be a better counselor and a better dad. So
That
that's
just gave me chills, that story, because I we say it all the time that, like, travel is we're not saving lives here. We're not heart surgeons, but at the same time, their travel is incredibly healing, and, it deepens bonds. As you said, it creates openings, for connection and conversation that just doesn't exist in your everyday hectic life. So I love that story. That's a really cool story.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I like to say that too, and the staff rolls their eyes whenever I do, and when I say, but you know what? I think maybe what we're doing might be it's more like a wellness checkup, right? If you go
Yeah,
to your wellness checkups, then maybe you hopefully won't need a heart surgeon one day. Like
right.
if you travel in the right way, and obviously you got to take care of your body, but if you travel in the right way, man, that's like a wellness checkup. I love what you said. It's like it's so nurturing and healing, and it's just
Yeah.
such it's an oasis, isn't it?
Yes.
Travel is such an oasis. And
Yes.
so, yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and that's what it's done for our family, and I'm really again, I know that the here in Washington, like the sand and gravel people, they probably need great representation, but I don't wanna work there. I like here better.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little more glamorous, just a little. So, in closing, this has been amazing and really, really eye-opening, hopefully, for some. What do you see, for the future of the travel advisor? Or what is ASTA's stance on that?
Yeah, I think, AI is really obviously we've done a lot of training on it. We did a bunch of great training. We had Kali come and speak to us in Salt Lake City a few weeks ago, try to help prepare our members for the future. That's really certainly on our minds, right? I mean, artificial intelligence it can provide probabilities in a nanosecond, and lots of probabilities in a nanosecond, better and faster than any human travel advisor in history, but it cannot replace advice that's born of experience because it doesn't have any. It only has aggregated experiences from I don't know the Russian chatbots. I don't know where this stuff is coming from. So on the regulatory side, we're looking at that really really carefully. There's also there's airlines now in the news about using personal information that can be used to kind of jack up profits and And
Wow.
sort of game the system in their advantage. I think that the things that we're looking at are really aimed at making sure that consumers are aware of how the advice that chatbots, uh, the advice that chatbots is giving them, how that is being generated. I think we deserve to know. Is it
Mhm.
is a chatbot recommending this particular property or experience because a supplier is paying them to do so, or is it
Yeah.
recommending it based on a number of
Yeah.
different experiences from consumers? And again, just how those things are being calculated and put forward, I think is important. I think that's going to help our business to be and remain healthy. The other thing is, I think it's important for our members to understand the very complex role of schedules and rules and things. Like, we need to continue to professionalize so that we can, you know, make sure that we're putting the best foot forward in competition with other sources that are out there. I know people can travel and can plan their travel on their own, but if you work with a professional travel advisor, you'll probably never do that again, right? I mean, when you sit down with someone and they have gamed everything out for you and they're making sure that you get the best value for your dollar, it's like takes all the stress, all the headaches and the planning time out of it. And so again, making sure that our members have education, making sure they're recognized for their expertise, and then making sure that they're using AI as a tool and that AI isn't becoming something that it really, or it's being marketed as something that it isn't.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of big big ideas and big sort of dragons to slay, both now and in the future. And again, super happy that we have a strong trade association, and more travel advisors are joining us every day to keep us strong.
I agree that AI is definitely something to be keep on the radar and just really dive into and understand better. I think it provides an opportunity for travel advisors to better market themselves. I think it provides an opportunity to continue to differentiate. I mean, I just had an experience on my own family travel. We did a pre-cruise stay in London, and because I worked with a luxury partner, DMC, um, we had access to things that you can't get on the internet, and AI would never be able to give you access to. So, I mean, we went to the Churchill war rooms and were able to go inside the glass, and we became part of people were taking picture of this room. We were in it, so we were part of the actual picture of
I
so,
love
yes, travel advisors, I think, if they continue to market themselves, and the value they provide, and one of them is opening doors and giving access to things that you can't get access to. AI will never be able to do that. Um,
and the more luxury clients, they want you to anticipate their needs rather than react to them, right? And that's
yeah,
exactly, love that what you said. It's like, if I could tell you that every time I go into to visit a travel advisor too, they have a stack of thank you cards and pictures on their desk. It's
yeah,
I don't know any other profession that's like that. That isn't that great? It's crazy. It's like,
yeah,
you become part of your clients' lives, and
yeah, for
if I had
sure.
a nickel for, I mean, you know, some of our advisors create wonderful experiences and memories. I know one that had a butler come out and give champagne to he and his wife after 30 years of marriage and read a
Oh,
poem that he had written to her. And I mean, like, yeah, I mean, AI, sure, you can get some probabilities, you can get some ideas, but if you want a real experience,
yeah,
you got to work with a travel advisor.
yeah. Exactly. Well, that's a perfect place to end it. I love it. Like tying it up with a beautiful bow. Thank you so much, Zane, for coming on the podcast today and sharing all of this and letting us really understand better who ASTA is and why to become a member and why to get involved. So thank you
Yeah,
so much.
it's been great being with you. Thank you.